Hello everyone and welcome to Austria for round 6 of the 2021 Formula 1 season here in the Alternative Apex series. As you can see, the heavens have opened over the Red Bull Ring and we are in for what looks like a very, very wet start to this Grand Prix. We are coming off of the 5th win in a row for the Red Bull team, of course, when we look back to the French Grand Prix, which I think we can all agree was a very entertaining race. They come to their home Grand Prix to Red Bull now, and they'll be looking to get a 6th win. However, in theory, this track won't suit their car. However, the wet conditions should help out Max Verstappen here, as he is well. He's known for his great wet weather driving. And also, Sergio Perez, he won last time we had a wet race in Canada. So Red Bull, in terms of the drivers for these conditions, they've really got the perfect lineup. As you can see here, the cars are on the grid now with full wet tyres equipped on their cars. Going into this race, Max Verstappen is in control of the championship, but only with a 16-point championship lead over his teammate. Here is the starting grid for the 2021 Austrian Grand Prix. On the front row, it is all Red Bull in their home race, with Max Verstappen lining up in pole position, just edging out his teammate Sergio Perez. Down the rest of the grid, we have Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton on the second row, ahead of the all-Ferrari row of Leclerc and Sainz. Then it's Norris and Ricciardo all 2x2 up at the front. Gasly and Alonso round out the top 10, ahead of their teammates of Ocon and Tsunoda. Then it's all Aston Martins with Vettel and Stroll lining up alongside each other, ahead of the Alfa Romeos of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi. Then it's Schwartzman, O'Ward, Schumacher, Latifi, and on the final row of the grid we have George Russell and Nikita Mazepin. There is your grid, a very 2x2 grid in a lot of places. So we'll have to wait and see if these guys get a bit more mixed up going into the Grand Prix. The lights are coming on now. We're getting ready for the race. We are racing in Austria, and it's a great start there from Max Verstappen from pole position. Gets the best launch, as that's Valtteri Bottas challenging Sergio Perez behind. Bottas much braver on the brakes into turn 1 there. Getting a good launch into turn 1. But it's Max Verstappen who leads the field up the hill. Has got a little bit of contact further down the order. And I think there might be some debris on the racetrack because the virtual safety car has now been deployed. The VSC is out, and well, we've got through one corner in this race and the virtual safety car is already deployed. And we are back up to racing speed though, as Verstappen are getting very loose coming through the S section here. But the track very, very wet at the moment, and already with some cars having issues early in the race. Expect to see a few cars pitting at the end of this lap due to, we saw debris was causing virtual safety cars. We see that is Giovinazzi who must have got his wing. Oh, and he's been hit! He's been hit by Mick Schumacher into the rear of Antonio Giovinazzi, and George Russell also without a front wing. It's carnage down in the back markers. But up at the front, it's all pretty nose tail. Oh no, it isn't. That's Valtteri Bottas who's going around out of the S section, and he's into the wall and he's out of the race. Championship contender Valtteri Bottas is out of the Austrian Grand Prix, only on lap 2 of the race, and that will surely bring out a safety car here. And the safety car has indeed been deployed. This is bad news for Mercedes. Into the pits now under the safety car, it's the Chevrolet of Pato O'Ward. Doesn't look like he's got any damage on that car, so perhaps a strategy call here from the Chevrolet team as he makes his way down pit lane. And yes, he is boxing here. Let's see, what tires did he put on? He's putting on Inters. It is we've seen Bottas crash. We've seen lots of drama so far in this race, up and down the order. It's a bold choice there by the Chevrolet team and Pato O'Ward to go onto the intermediate tyres, but the rain does look to have lightened under the safety car. The rain does look like it's a little bit lighter now around this circuit, but the leaders look to be staying out here whilst the safety car leads the field around. Now it is time for the restart here. Max Verstappen will lead them to the green as the safety car makes its way into the pit lane. You can see it in the distance there. Max Verstappen will be the lead car, but wait a minute, what's this then? Verstappen, he's pulling over to the right. Verstappen is coming to the pits. Race leader Max Verstappen, championship leader Max Verstappen is coming to the pits, and so is everyone. Half the field here, more than half the field, most of the field is coming to the pits here. They're all putting on Inters. They must all be coming in for Inters here. They're following the safety car even down the pit lane. And the race is back underway. I believe Carlos Sainz is now leading this Grand Prix. Sainz leads the field back to green. A few more cars staying out here, but double stacking down at Red Bull. That's going to hurt Sergio Perez here. Verstappen's going to get held up a little bit by some back markers, but let's see who's going to come out on top here as they exit the pit lane. I mean, that's it's a crazy decision here. If these teams had done that a lap earlier, but they got away, they would have been able to switch to Inters without losing very little time compared to this. That now puts them a pit stop behind their rivals, but most of the field has pitted. We've got a few that have stayed out on wets. With Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo now both diving into the pit lane. Fernando Alonso, will he follow them in behind? I think he may well do. One of the Alpines surely is going to come in on this lap, and one of them has stayed out. I believe that is Esteban Ocon. So it is Alonso into the pits as the top 5 cars, top 7 cars come into the pit lane. But a driver making his way up the order, that's Pato O'Ward. He switched to Winters under the safety car. He had already caught the back of the train when they all pitted. So he is legitimately with a 10-second net race lead here once Ocon pits, ahead of Max Verstappen, who is in a sort of first position compared to his championship rivals of Hamilton and Perez. But as Ocon pits now, around his outside, surely we'll now see coming through the picture, that is indeed Pato O'Ward, who's staying on the racetrack. O'Ward on intermediate tyres. This is a genius move by Chevrolet and Pato O'Ward to get him out on these intermediate tyres. They were down the order. They started, I think, 18th. They didn't have anything to risk by doing this. All their rivals had issues with wing damage anyway, so it's a great call here by the Chevrolet team to get Pato O'Ward out in the lead. And now, I mean, that gap's coming down quickly. Only 8.7, 8.6 seconds now. But Pato O'Ward does lead this race legitimately. Meanwhile, down the order, Perez, of course, getting held up in that pit stop. He's now battling his way up the order, getting past Robert Schwartzman there. Chevrolet only pitted one car for Winters under that safety car, only risking it with one of their 2 drivers, that being Pato O'Ward. And Schwartzman at the moment down in 15th position, but Perez now making his way up the order after getting held up in the pits, now into 14th position. Out front, it is still Pato O'Ward who leads the way ahead of Max Verstappen. Verstappen, though, has already halved that gap in, well, I think, what, 5 laps? He's flying at the moment, is Max Verstappen. There's a run ball with the Red Bull driving out. He is flying up to the back of the Chevrolet of Pato O'Ward. Red Bull really does give you wings by the looks of things. But Verstappen is catching up to the rear of the Chevrolet. Max Verstappen all over the back of O'Ward now, but they're moving to the right, they're pitting. That is O'Ward leading Verstappen back into the pits. Is it dry enough for dries? It must be with these guys coming in. It looks a bit too early to pit for a second set of intermediate tyres. However, they are both coming in, and I believe this will be for dry tyres. The rain appears to have stopped here in the Austrian hills. And yes, it is indeed dry tyres going on to the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, and I presume the same happening up the order. So it's getting held up there quite badly, is Verstappen. He's kind of come out behind Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton has jumped Verstappen in the pit stops. Pato O'Ward's built up a little bit more of his lead there. Once again, pitting at the right time. Of course, having that last pit box has helped him. But Lewis Hamilton now ahead of his championship rival Max Verstappen. Verstappen down to a net 3rd place in this race. However, Ricciardo, as they now all have pitted. But O'Ward now in the lead of the race. But that Chevrolet, it's not a top car. It has got good top speed, but that's about where it stops. Lewis Hamilton now looking to the inside of Pato O'Ward for the leader of this Grand Prix. Everyone on dry tyres. Now Hamilton going to the inside. Will he make the move work into turn 3 on the exit? Turn 3 gets the traction there. The Mercedes with much better grip in these conditions. But look at that, O'Ward with the DRS is going to fight back against Lewis Hamilton into turn 4. But I think he knows that that's a battle that the Mercedes is always going to win, as it's now Verstappen pressuring O'Ward here. Verstappen knows that he's got the quickest car here today. He just needs to try and clear O'Ward and then hunt down Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the race. He's into 2nd, and it's just one car between him and Red Bull's 6th consecutive win of the season, and that would be Verstappen's 4th of the year, and would put him back in true control of the championship. Got the McLarens here dueling it out here for 5th position. Leclerc currently top of the midfield, but the 2 McLaren drivers both want to be the one to take the fight. Oh, but there's a crash further back. That's big debris from the AlphaTauri, or I believe that is the AlphaTauri of Gasly. As Sebastian Vettel looks like he was coming to the pits, and Gasly's just gone straight into the back of him. Vettel trying to make the pit lane, as instead it has been hit in the rear by Pierre Gasly, and Gasly has lost his entire front wing. As Sergio Perez now continuing this charge up the order now into the 9th position. Good recovery so far from Sergio Perez. O'Ward once again finds himself under attack. This time it's from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who is now up into 3rd position. Looks like we could see a midfield car get on the podium here today, with Perez down the order and Bottas out of it. Looks like maybe this could be Leclerc's chance to get his first podium of the season. Further down the order, that's the other Ferrari of Carlos Sainz going off the road through the S section. We saw Bottas crash earlier there today, and Sainz off the road there now for Ferrari. No, he's been hit. He's been collected. That's Pierre Gasly again. Pierre Gasly for the 2nd time in about as many laps, and just about avoided by Schwartzman. And that is Pierre Gasly off the road, with slamming into the back of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. I'll be surprised if Sainz has got away with that without any damage. But the safety car has now been deployed in this race once more. Looks like it's getting its money's worth of that safety car. You'd want to be a sponsor on the side of the safety car today, put it that way. Lewis Hamilton pits from the lead ahead of Max Verstappen. Ooh, they need a nice clean pit stop. Yes, they get out ahead of the Ferrari. And that is continuing to lead the race for Lewis Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo, interestingly, has stayed on the racetrack. Looks like McLaren maybe opting to not double stack here. I mean, we'll see the driver of Pato Award in the pits as well. But Ricciardo and Alonso's also stayed out here. I believe Perez might have as well. He's now up into 5th place. Ricciardo now leads the race ahead of Fernando Alonso. Once again, we're seeing a safety car mix up these races. But Ricciardo will lead this race after the pit stops ahead of Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. Now behind those two slower cars. This is Verstappen's chance to pick off Hamilton as he has to get past the slightly slower cars that are on older tyres. Ricciardo will lead us back to green here at the Red Bull Ring. Daniel Ricciardo, former Red Bull driver, will lead us to the green flag and across the line to restart this race on lap 24 of 36. Not long left now. Who will be the king of the ring? Fernando Alonso holding up Lewis Hamilton. You can see already on this restart, just a couple of corners in, and Alonso you can already see dropping back from Ricciardo and falling into the clutches of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton needs to make this move past Alonso, but Alonso, as we saw in France, is a very good defender. So this is going to be a tough pass for Lewis Hamilton to make. We see battling third down the order Norris and Raikkonen. Raikkonen once again finding himself in a strong position here. Similar to France, Raikkonen finds himself in the points. But under attack from the quicker cars. See Alonso up in 2nd position now. He's going to be under pressure from Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton going up the inside of the penultimate corner. That's a brave move to make. But it's like Hamilton has pulled off the move to get himself up into 2nd place as Sergio Perez comes into the pits now. He stayed out under safety car and he'll now find himself in the pit lane. Maybe he's going to go to soft tyres for this final stint, try and make up some positions that way. But it is Ricciardo leading the race ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And Fernando Alonso under pressure now from Max Verstappen, as I believe we have a VSC out on track now. By the looks of things, perhaps someone with some damage further down the order. But we are under virtual safety car here in Red Bull Ring. Alonso now coming to the pit lane. Finally brings. Oh, and that might be where the virtual safety car has come from. That's Charles Leclerc with no wing at all, making his way into the pits. Perhaps it was his debris that has brought out the virtual safety car, but it is in now. And so is Charles Leclerc as he brings his car down the pit lane. A few more cars taking this opportunity to pit and go on to soft tyres until the end of the race. The Chevrolet of Robert Schwartzman there, just in your picture. Driver X score points this season, along with the likes of Kimi Raikkonen. Looking to take advantage of the crazy race we have seen so far here in Austria. But up at the front, Ricciardo still leads relatively comfortably given what's happened so far. And that's Esteban Ocon into the pits now, and that's Sainz into the back of Ocon. That is Carlos Sainz now getting wing damage. He's had a tough race, a busy race. Of course, he had that off earlier on in the Grand Prix. And now as more and more cars enter the pits to go to softs until the end of the race, Carlos Sainz now finds himself with wing damage and will surely have to pit at the end of the lap. If he doesn't, he'll find himself dropping a lot of positions, as that's Sebastian Vettel who's lost his entire wing. So Sebastian Vettel also has come out with an entire missing front wing. That's not going to provide any downforce on the front end of that Aston Martin. What has happened here? Let's go on board here with the Aston Martin driver. And he's just gone straight into the back there of the Williams of George Russell. Again, we're seeing cars as they pit. They're having to take that tight line. And cars on the racetrack not knowing that they need to avoid a slower car. And they're getting caught out here. So we see Lewis Hamilton going to lead the race. Ricciardo going to fight this one hard. Ricciardo, by the looks of things, is going to go to the end of this race on these tyres. This is a legitimate battle up front. Ricciardo and Hamilton wheel to wheel here for the lead of this Grand Prix. Hamilton with the DRS and the Mercedes car. Let's see, can Ricciardo do anything about it? Can Verstappen get involved? Not by the looks of things. Hamilton will take the lead away from Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton looking for his first win in 2021. It's hard to believe that we're saying that after the years he's had recently. But Lewis Hamilton going for his first win of the season. Can he defend once Verstappen has got past Ricciardo? Verstappen, though, not looking too quick at the moment behind Ricciardo. He's not managed to follow straight past Ricciardo and will be losing time or stuck behind the McLaren of Ricciardo. Meanwhile, further down the order we go. Oh, and that's into the pits. That's Max Verstappen into the pits. Championship leader is into the pit lane here. What has happened to the Red Bull? It looks like doesn't look like any puncture or anything. They're changing the front wing. He must have got front wing damage in that scrap with Ricciardo and Hamilton. Max Verstappen, your championship leader, is in the pit lane. And, well, he's going to find himself out of the points at this rate. Look at him, he's down into 8th position. He's dropping down the order quickly here. Max Verstappen, championship leader, he's got a 16-point championship lead over Perez, 25-point lead over Hamilton. If Verstappen doesn't score any points today and Hamilton wins, his championship lead is completely gone. This is huge for the championship here, as Max Verstappen now finds himself way down the order. And this is where he got the damage. He's gone into the back of Hamilton there, into turn 1, whilst those two were battling ahead of him. He's just gone into the back of Hamilton, and it looks like he's picked up some minor wing damage there. It's a shame there for the Red Bull driver, who looked in control of this championship, looked in control of the race, and not for the win, but he's definitely had a chance at the win, and was at least going to get a solid P2. But now finds himself battling outside the points again. Similar situation. He's a bit more careful this time as he's trying to make his way up the order behind Ocon and Leclerc as they battle. Verstappen looking to try and get past the two of them. He needs to make these moves quickly, just try and salvage some points from today's race. You can see that is P8 just up the road there in the hands of Kimi Raikkonen. So if Verstappen can make these passes quickly, then he can still salvage some points. Not the points he was going to get, but at least he won't go home completely empty-handed. But on this occasion, Verstappen not able to make any moves here into turn 4. These two battling ahead of him is really making it harder for Verstappen to get past, because they're blocking the track. Two cars, funnily enough, is wider than one. But now Verstappen here on the back of Esteban Ocon, going for the move up the inside of the penultimate corner. The Alpine doesn't look like a strong car through these couple of corners, because that's where Hamilton got Alonso earlier in the race. Of course, difference in pace, Red Bull or Mercedes versus an Alpine. Big difference in pace here as Verstappen trying to make the same move again here. So maybe it is just the grip of the Red Bull having all that extra downforce compared to the rivals, and he does get up into 10th position. Max Verstappen is now into the points paying positions and is now on the back of Robert Schwartzman, currently running 9th for Chevrolet. Robert Schwartzman forced to go defensive there through turn 1, and straight around the outside goes Max Verstappen, and what a move there by the Dutchman. He knows he has to make these moves quickly, and so far he is making these moves very quickly, as it's lap 33 of 36, currently race led by Lewis Hamilton ahead of the two McLaren drivers in 2nd and 3rd. But Verstappen down in 9th position here. Ricciardo and Norris here look like they're about to start battling once again in this race for 2nd place this time. Norris with much fresher tyres than his teammate, going to try and go all the way around the outside, and he brakes so much later, and that's a nice move by Lando Norris to get himself up into the 2nd position and to take his and McLaren's best finish of the season. They're yet to get a podium this season. They're currently running 2nd and 3rd. As we see battling further behind, that is Pato O'Ward battling Sergio Perez. The two Mexicans are going at it here. You'd imagine the Red Bull here is going to have much more grip than the Chevrolet car through this part of the lap. Maybe O'Ward could have fought back if that move had happened a corner earlier, but just not having the downforce through that middle sector that it needs. Meanwhile, we've got a battle here. Oh, that looks like a bit of carbon fibre maybe going flying there. We've got a battle here for the final points paying position. Robert Schwartzman defending from Ocon and Charles Leclerc. Schwartzman currently in the 10th position as they're 3 wide behind him. I love seeing this, as that is a big look up there from Yuki Tsunoda. As Charles Leclerc drops down to 13th place. Now all these guys battling over that 1 points paying position. Because Schwartzman at the moment currently holding that, and Raikkonen 2 seconds up the road from there. Ocon in 11th at the moment. He looks like the main contender for the final points paying position, and this will be his final chance. It's now the final lap of the race. Robert Schwartzman under pressure here from Esteban Ocon. He defends brilliantly there. He keeps his car in the middle of the circuit. Ocon not able to find a way through it. Nearly goes into the back of him, but doesn't, luckily. And Robert Schwartzman is going to hold on by the looks of things for this 1 point paying position. Perhaps getting his first point of the season, as Ocon not close enough to make the move into turn 4. And it's very single file through the rest of the lap, as we see Lewis Hamilton through the final couple of corners now. Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. It's hard to believe I'm saying this, but for the first time in 2021, Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. It's a McLaren 2-3 here, for Norris getting P2, Ricciardo getting P3. What a result for the McLaren team, who are really starting to solidify themselves into that 3rd position in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Ferrari. In 4th, it was Sergio Perez. In 5th, it was Pato O'Ward. A strong drive by the Chevrolet driver, always on the right tyres by the looks of things. But Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, somehow it's taken them 6 races to do it, but finally they're on the top step of the podium. And the championship fight is well and truly on now, with Verstappen having a bad finish, Perez only getting P4. Lewis Hamilton is now back in this championship fight, and Red Bull are going to have their work cut out now. They look to be running away with it after the French Grand Prix, but it is all to play for now as Mercedes take the win here, ahead of both McLaren drivers. What a day. What a Grand Prix. Very entertaining one there. I don't think we expect to see that result. Both McLarens getting on the podium there. Great drive by both Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Another team that did well on strategy today and avoiding any incidents that a lot of the other drivers found themselves in. Now it's time to look at the final classifications here for the 2021 Austrian Grand Prix here in the Alternative Apex Series. Lewis Hamilton gets his first win and Mercedes' first win of the season ahead of Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Sergio Perez brings his Red Bull home in fourth, so it's not a completely awful day for Red Bull. However, they'll still be very disappointed with that result. In fifth, it is the Chevrolet of Pato Award, getting Chevrolet's best finish in Formula 1 so far. Same, of course, goes to Pato Award, both the team and driver in their rookie seasons. Fernando Alonso gets sixth for Alpine, getting some more crucial points in that midfield battle. And then it's the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll ahead of Max Verstappen, who managed to get 5 points with that fastest lap as well. So Verstappen, it only loses 20 points to Lewis Hamilton, but still a huge amount of points dropped today for Verstappen. Raikkonen getting 9th place, gets his first 2 points of the season. Great result there for Alfa Romeo and Kimi Raikkonen after the podium last time out in France. I'm sure he'll be very happy to see them bring home another points finish, although this one not quite as many as Giovinazzi brought home in France. Then in 10th, for the first time this season, Robert Schwartzman has scored a point for Chevrolet. Nice drive there by the Russian driver. Finally looks like things are coming good for him and the Chevrolet team. As you can see there, his fast lap was half a second quicker than his teammates. So Schwartzman, of course, he did make that later pit stop, but Schwartzman clearly is more comfortable in that Chevrolet car now than he was at the start of the season. And with Schwartzman and O'Ward starting to click a little bit better, and the Chevrolet team as a whole clicking a little bit better, I think the teams like Alfa Romeo and maybe even Aston Martin and Alpine are going to have to worry a bit about the Chevrolet team as finally they look to be getting their results together. Here are your driver standings after round 6 of the season. As you can see, things are very close at the top now, going from a 16-point championship lead to a 9-point gap to third in the championship. The championship really has changed after the Austrian Grand Prix. Verstappen only 5 points clear at the top of the table ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez only 9 points off his teammate at the top of the standings. Perez and Hamilton are now truly back in the fight. However, Valtteri Bottas, that's not what he would want to see after this weekend. Only 4th position in the championship, only 65 points scored so far this season. 35 points off the championship lead. He's only 6 points ahead of Lando Norris now in the McLaren. This is not good news for Valtteri Bottas, who was, of course, would have been looking for his first Formula 1 World Championship this season. But I think it's fair to say now that Mercedes have got a one-man effort for the championship this season. And that, of course, is in the form of Lewis Hamilton. But I don't think many people will be surprised that Lewis Hamilton is Mercedes' top driver so far this season. Now it's time to look at the Constructors' standings. Red Bull now with a 31-point championship lead. Whilst the Drivers' Championship is getting a bit closer, the Constructors' Championship is clearly still in Red Bull's hands, and Red Bull's to lose at the moment. McLaren even more comfortable in that 3rd position. It's McLaren looking set pretty easily to take that 3rd position now, as they are way ahead of their main rivals in the form of Ferrari. Aston Martin now only 6 points behind Ferrari, so it's really going downhill now for Ferrari as they drop more and more points as each Grand Prix goes by. Aston Martin and Alpine all picking up good points today and massively outscoring the Scuderia. Chevrolet jump back up into 7th in the championship. They're equal points with AlphaTauri now. AlphaTauri now have gone from comfortably 5th in the championship earlier in the season. Well, they haven't scored for the last couple of races. This is really going downhill for the Italian team. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the standings, Williams and Haas both on 0 points still. Neither team looking likely to score points anytime soon either, sadly. They just seem to keep getting caught out in incidents in these races where points are available. It seems like they're the ones that are getting involved in the incidents, sadly. So at the moment those two look stuck in a battle for 10th position, but hopefully at least one of those two can try and get a points finish later in the season, because it's not nice seeing teams like Williams and Haas struggle at the bottom of the standings, especially with the heritage that Williams has, of course. Yeah, at the moment those two are looking stuck in a battle for 10th in the championship. But that was it for round 6 of the 2021 Formula 1 season here in Alternative Apex. Next up is Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix. Can Mercedes try and build up some momentum and fight for this championship and maybe take control of it away from Red Bull? Or can Red Bull fight back and reassert their dominance over the 2021 Formula 1 season? The only way to find out is to join us tomorrow for round 7. So make sure to tune in then. And until then, goodbye.